it was like, why can't I find anything? Like, why am I buying stuff in the men's department? How come when I order something online that's women's or going to the women's, like I can't fit into it? I'm like a normal, average woman, and if I'm having this problem, and I'm so short too, I'm like barely squeaking 5'4", and I would get the same answer of I can't find anything. I'm wearing like my husband's hand-me-downs, my boyfriend's hand-me-downs, my dad's hand-me-downs. I go to the men's department, and I just get whatever I can. I hodgepodge stuff together, and I'm like, this is not okay. Like, why are we hodgepodging? Like, we shouldn't be hodgepodging. We should have a fishing gear that works, that fits well, number one, and has great features and doesn't fall apart. And it's kind of where everything kind of just the rabbit hole began.
Tejas Hunt Club Podcast is the podcast for you and you and you and you.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Tejas Hunt Club podcast. Today you will have myself, Megan McEllier, on an episode with Raylene of Ditale Outdoors. On this episode, I'm going to dive in with Raylene on why she created her own clothing line that is made for women and made by women. This clothing line is super impressive. They started with pants and they have expanded into other items such as shirts, pullovers, and they will be launching some very exciting things in the fall, but I'll let her tell you more about that. A few updates on what we've been up to. We have a fishing tournament this weekend that I will be attending in Port A. And then we also have another fishing trip scheduled with my friend Barrett in Matagorda in late June. We are headed to Oklahoma to the Professional Outdoor Media Association Conference the second week of June. So we've got a pretty busy June. If you haven't already heard Brandon's Axis Hunt story from a couple weeks ago, that's something else you probably want to check out. That was a pretty crazy story, and I'm very excited that he decided to share that with you guys. If you haven't already, please click that like button, subscribe to our channel. Also, if you're on Spotify, be sure to subscribe to notifications. We publish a podcast every week. And if you're on Instagram, find us at Tejas Hunt Club or at Bar MC Media. And lastly, if you are on Facebook, we do have a private Facebook group where we share all kinds of interesting updates from across the platform. And so be sure to join us there if you're on Facebook. So without further ado, I will jump right in. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Tejas Hunt Club podcast. We are so happy that you're here. Today you have myself, Megan McEllier, and Raylene from Ditale Outdoors. She is going to introduce herself a little bit and tell us about her clothing line and products that she has started, which is an all women's hunting line, all women. So thank you for coming on, and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, just a quick background. I've been hunting my whole entire life. I started off with my dad. He basically only child, so I had no choice in the matter, right? So I was his passion, his big passion, and he always wanted to ensure that his child knew self efficiency. And basically, that's how it started. Was I was a small child. I think my earliest memories, I want to say I was around like 3 going out with him. I remember fishing too at 3. But I've been told I was out way before then. He had like this red pack that he would put me in, kind of like the pack that I had on yesterday in our photo shoot, this massive pack. And he would put me in there and then take me out with him. But I started off with upland, with bird hunting, with quail, learning how to work the dog. And then at 9, he put a bow in my hand, and that was it. It was off to the races with.
Oh, that's something new. I know you bow hunted, but I didn't know you'd been bow hunting for that long.
So he started me off with a little recurve in the backyard. He just kind of thought like I was bugging him for I don't know how long, probably a good solid month of like I really want to do this because he was shooting, and so he borrowed one of our family friends. He borrowed one of their kids' recurves and was like, she's probably only gonna like shoot a couple arrows in the backyard and be like, yeah, I'm good. So he brought it home and he gave me like the whole rundown on archery safety, propped me up like at the 10-yard mark, and we had a range in our backyard, like right in front of the target, and was like, okay, like this is kind of like how you aim, and go ahead, like let it go, like, and I was shooting pretty good groups for a brand new, archer, and
Hmm.
he just kept pulling arrows and handing them to me and was like, just keep doing that. And he had a rule, and that was you had to play a sport. And I couldn't find a sport that I liked. Like I tried softball. I played more when I got older and got into high school, but there was just as a little kid, there was really nothing. Soccer still is not my jam. Um, just couldn't find anything. Sorry, moms. If
I played soccer. I
I just
played
I could
soccer for a
not get
few
into
years.
it. It's really awful because then when I had Paxton, I was like, please, no, no soccer. Like, let's find something else. And now the kid does jujitsu and eskrima, so complete opposite of anything soccer related. But so he told me he's like this is a sport. So if you want to do it, like I'm like, well, I'll help you. Like we'll get you set up. And the answer was yes, of course. I was like, yeah, like I really like that. I'm enjoying this. So then we went down and I got my own recurve, my own arrows. And after school every day, I was back there just plugging away, just plugging away. And then started doing 3D competitions and some indoor. And he would just drag me around at every tournament he did. And so that's how it got started, really, honestly. And I still love it to this day. I'm 41 and I have not put that bow down. And yeah, I own way too many now. I don't like to admit that, but
Do you
but yeah.
still shoot recurve quite a bit?
I'm going to get a new one this year. Last year, I went to Wilderness in Kansas City. They do an all women's like 4 day event out there where it's all women, all outdoor activities. And I was asked if I would wanted to teach archery for their Go Wild event, and I was like, absolutely, yes, however you can use me, I'm down. And Marcia Riley, who was the other instructors, they had so many girls that signed up and so many women that signed up for archery. We needed probably three of us, but we managed with the two of us. And she had a beautiful, beautiful black widow recurve, and she was like, "You want to shoot it?" I'm like, yeah." So I started plugging away with it.
Duh.
It just reminded me. I was like, "This is why, like, I love it so much." So like all weekend, I was just playing with that thing, and I'm like, I need to go get my own now. 'Cause they're just
Hmm.
fun. They're just use your your primitive skills, and you're not going to be as accurate as you are with your compound using a pin, and it's just fun. It's just fun to something new, something more challenging. So yeah.
I always ask because I know that when I was in A&M, I took an archery class, and that's actually where I discovered that I was left-eye dominant. And so I had a lot of fun, and we shot recurve the whole time. I never picked up compound bow until last year when I got my compound bow. And so I'm definitely like a late onset, and especially because it's been almost 10 years since I graduated from A&M. So it's like, well, very late onset when it comes to bow hunting. But I also grew up fishing mostly, which is what we
Hmm.
have that in common just a little bit. But I'm
Yeah.
sure your fishing was different than my fishing because I grew up on the Gulf Coast of Texas, and I know you grew up in California, correct?
Yeah. So I grew up in Phelan, California, which is a ranch town. And yeah, so we have access to rivers and lakes here, streams. So lots of just pole fishing in general. We can also do the ocean, which I did not do till last year. Um, but we normally drive up to Northern California. There's a place called Bishop up there, which is kind of my, I don't want to say safe haven, but just my peace of mind, so to
Hmm.
speak. And
Oh,
that's
I love
also,
it.
yeah, that's also where I learned to fly fish. So do that too.
Very cool. I have a fly rod, but it was definitely something I bought, or actually my boyfriend at the time in high school bought for me. And it was, I think it's an 8 weight. And so it's not strong enough for me to take out to redfish on the Gulf Coast. But I do have a buddy we go out with all the time. And he's like, you can still practice with that so that we can actually use a fly rod out here. He gets so frustrated with me because I'm like, oh, but I love the bait caster. So, but when you're sight casting anything in a river or with redfish for us, we sight cast redfish. It's so much more frustrating when you have to reel it in and then recast and reel it in and recast if you missed your spot. So, I definitely want to get back into fly fishing. But that's really cool. I'm glad that you have. And the thing is, I feel like fly fishing is comparable to bow hunting, like rifle versus bow and like baitcaster versus fly rod. So it's just more of a primitive, hands-on, like manual process, I guess. And so I really enjoyed it.
It's fun. It's challenging. Last year I did it shore in the ocean. Next Tuesday I leave on a boat at 5:30 a.m. with a bunch of ladies from my fly fishing group, and we're going to go off the coast of Catalina and
Oh,
see what we can do, so to speak.
yes, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I've so
Good.
it's gonna. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's gonna be great.
Good. Yeah, I'm actually headed down to Port Aransas on Wednesday, and I'll be fishing Thursday morning. So we'll see if we can get into some redfish and trout down there. But yeah, so aside from fishing, I know we've talked about bow hunting just a little bit, but
Mhm.
how much have you been hunting versus when you were a kid? You know, you were practicing 3D target archery.
Yeah.
And how much of that did you end up going on hunting trips? Like, when did you start actually hunting?
So actually big game, I didn't start until a few years ago. Just stayed with upland and did that from the time I was a kid, throughout adulthood. And just, I don't know, I felt like, I don't want to say felt like, I felt like it was overdue, really, to be honest with you. It was like, why did I wait so long to do this? And
Hmm.
it was at the time music to my dad's ears, right? Where I was like, I think I want to put in and do a draw. And then it was, let's get online, and like pulls up the computer. And I don't think I've ever seen the old man pull out a computer and get onto a website that fast ever. As when technology occurred, and he was like, how do I do this? Um, but he was super stoked that I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a whirl. And I want to use my bow. I don't want to use a rifle because my bow's like my right hand. I'm so comfortable with it that anything goes wrong, I'm good. I can fix it in the field. I know what I'm doing. Um, but he was mainly just explaining like, okay, let's first of all like get your hunting license. That's like the first thing to add your tags to. So it was like, we're just not adding bird here, we're not doing duck and upland, like we got to get your AO tag, then we got to put you in for the draw. And luckily my interest hit um like right before you have to put in for the draw. So it was about a few weeks before we put in, because it opens up in May, closes in June, and then we wait 2 weeks after June 2nd, for everything to kind of trickle in, and then to say you're screwed or not screwed. Here you go, basically. Like, here you go, what you want or what you don't want. So I put in for everything that year, which is elk, pronghorn, which is antelope, um, a big sheep, bighorn sheep, and then a premier deer, and then my
Oh,
AO.
wow.
Yeah, so I went all in, um, and then for a couple years didn't really draw the magic spot until 3 years ago. I drew the magic spot, and then that's when I needed gear, so to speak, and couldn't find anything, and that's how Ditale was born, which is pretty crazy. But yeah.
Absolutely. So that's actually really cool that you were like, there's a need here. I need this, not just like you did market research and realized there was a need in the industry.
It was like, why can't I find anything? Like, why am I buying stuff in the men's department? How come when I order something online that's women's or going to the women's, like I can't fit into it? I'm like a normal average woman, and if I'm having this problem, and I'm so short too, I'm like barely squeaking 5'4". Um,
Hmm.
so I'm in everything is, I don't think I have to reiterate for women that listen to this. Like, you get into men's pants and your crotch are down to your knee, you can't move. And if you're spotter and stalker like me, it's really uncomfortable and you're tripping over yourself and you're more worried about your clothes than like, where's the deer?
The
And that,
hunt. Yeah.
yeah, that's not okay. Yeah. So I basically, after that, just started talking to more women, in the community. And I was like, are you having this problem? Like, I can't find anything. And it was mainly just that of like, hey, I pulled this tag in this area and it's rough. I know what the terrain is like. I've been there, for a few years. I've if it's a buddy, landed it, we would just go to help. So I know what it's like. What do you use? And I would get the same answer of, I can't find anything. I'm wearing like my husband's hand-me-downs, my boyfriend's hand-me-downs, my dad's hand-me-downs. I go to the men's department, and I just get whatever I can. I hodgepodge stuff together, and I'm like, this is not okay. Like, why are we hodgepodging? Like, we shouldn't be hodgepodging. We should have efficient gear. that works, that fits well, number one, and has great features and doesn't fall apart. And that's kind of where everything kind of just the rabbit hole began, so to speak.
Yeah.
Of we're just like going to go down this path and see what happens. Um, yeah,
And that's great. And I mean, a lot of I've had the same experience, but same thing. Like I used what felt like a man's pant with a pink logo on it. It did not feel
yeah,
like it was fit for my body type. And I'm the same as you. I'm 5'3", 5'4" on my license, I guess. But I'm 5'3" and pretty curvy, but I'm not, I'm pretty average as far as especially for the US,
yeah,
it's one of those things where there just hasn't been talk about it. Nobody's complained enough. And even then, like there wouldn't be a way to prove to these bigger companies that it's worth the time to do the research, to do the
hmm,
measurements, to produce the separate, so I'm happy that you decided that that was something you were passionate enough about, and you're like, I'm doing it. This is something where you reached. I'm assuming, like in the beginning, did you just reach out to some mutual friends or people that
yeah.
also hunt, and they
Yeah,
jumped on board?
I'm a part of California Bone Hunters Association, so we have a few women, like a handful of women in our association. I'm hoping to change that, by the way, where we got 2 new members a couple weeks ago, so I'm excited about that. But I chatted with those ladies, and then I asked them, "Do you know any other women that hunt?" And then they passed me on to another group of women, and I just kind of went down a rabbit hole from there. And so a lot of them I didn't know, and I was just like, "Are you having this problem?" Like, and we would just have a conversation about everything, really, kind of what we're doing, like how you started, when you started. Like I started knowing like
Hmm.
what grocery store they would shop at or how many kids they had, and oh gosh, like if I could get out more I could, but I only get out like a couple times a week, and I have to like have the man watch the kids, or just life. And so really getting to know my community in general was a huge help. And she's saying the same things we're saying of like, and I don't, then they don't want to complain, they don't want to say anything, because then
Right.
I would hear like, I'm a woman out there. I'm like, well, what difference does that make? And then I had to remember that not all dads are like my dad, that were like, guess what, girl, guess what you're doing today, and just take me out there. A lot of dads just brought their sons and didn't know if their daughter was interested, and their daughter was, but didn't start till later on in life. So I
Right.
learned all of these things of, now I'm out there, and I don't want to complain because I'm out there. And I'm already trying not to be quote unquote a nuisance while I'm out there, be loud, be any of those things where I'll get the look of, oh, you brought her along.
Right.
And I don't want that look.
Yep.
So we just deal. And I was like, well, no, no, no. Like, we don't need to deal anymore. It's make me gear. That you need to do that. I can't do what I want to do when I get out there efficiently with what's on the market. So how
Hmm.
can I bring that to us? So some of the comments that we get back, especially during turkey season, I had women sending us emails that said, for the first time in my hunting life, I was not worried about my pants falling off, wasn't worried about my gear. I was worried about the hunt, and that's it. And I've never felt more confident. I've never like just been like in the zone this much, and that meant everything to me, because that was the whole purpose, really, of just get out there, just go do you, just get out there, go do what you need to do to have a successful hunt. And that's it. Like, that's really what the concentration was on, was ensuring that we were properly being served.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, women, for the most part, not just women, but for the most part, women are so attentive to detail, right? So it's almost like we freak out because things aren't going right, much
Yep.
less we can't really ignore when
Hyper
something's
focusing on
not
that,
the right.
and then everything else just
Right.
tickles downhill, and you're like, oh crap, now like I don't know where my knife went, and where the hell is that at, and yep, and it just goes,
And
and
then
then
your confidence just like
shoots
plummets. Yeah,
down.
exactly.
Yep. And then you get on
Yeah.
something, and then you start second guessing that shot, because you're in your head too much, and that could go awry, and yeah, all kinds of things that we don't need.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that. And I think the coolest part to me just now was hearing you say that your mission statement was coming from
Yeah.
your customers, basically, that you didn't even have to communicate it very well because it was very clear that
Hmm.
that's exactly what your goal was. And that's so fascinating.
So we don't
Well,
build
tell me.
art.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. We don't really
No.
like build anything until like we've talked to at least 100 women. So it doesn't get thrown up on the product roadmap until like we've heard it about 15 to 20 times. And then when we start deep diving into what that product is or what that item is that she really wants, it doesn't become like a tech pack or a prototype until we've at least spoke to 100 women on the product.
Mm.
And that's how we build gear. So it's slow. Everyone's like, how come you didn't come out with a whole entire line? I'm like, well, one, cost. Like, if you're going to do it right, I don't want to cut corners. We deserve to have right gear. Two, it's the main focus is to ensure that it's done right and it's exactly what you want, and it's going to fit you well. And just, we talk about this every day when someone's like, they want a mid-season jacket. I'm like, but what do they want in that mid-season jacket? Like, we can't just be like, a jacket done. Like, no. um
Yeah.
and we've been, very, very fortunate to have amazing partners and be able to go to some huge industry shows like SHOT Show. And our Sophia Venture Pant was, voted the SHOT Show favorite. And rightfully so, because we put in a ton of work on that pant and we came into the market knowing like we have the number one hunting pant out there for women. And that's just what we're going to run with.
Oh
And we'll,
yeah, and I mean that's one of the products I've actually had the chance of trying it on,
yeah.
and I love them. I will definitely put the video on it for you guys for the audience to look at of me doing the squat proof test at was it Texas Trophy Hunters? I can't
It was
remember.
Texas Trophy
I think
Hunters,
it
I
was.
think in Houston. Yeah. Last year.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it was not that long ago. But yeah, that Sophia Adventure Pant is amazing. I still need to get my hands on my own pair. But you have some other products as well that you've launched since then, and I know you have a new one. So do you want to talk a little bit about those?
So we have three new products that are going to be dropping this fall. So we have the Eve long and short performance top. And we had a photo shoot yesterday, so I got to wear it all day long yesterday for the first time. I've touched like prototypes and have seen them, but to actually like have the gear on, it was amazing. So it performs in the way of one, this will be our first product where we don't have a curvy in it. And the reason for that is the stretch on it is like phenomenal. So we don't need to actually add that. So ladies, don't freak out when you see like the size run and you're like, where's the curvy? You don't need it with this one. I actually had a medium on yesterday, and I normally have to wear a large in normal tops. And I wear a Sophia Adventure medium curvy pant. So the sizing works whether you're a curvy or not curvy. The gal that was shooting with us yesterday, she was in a medium top as well, and it looked just as good on her. So it breathes, it wicks, it has SPF 50 in it. It's so light, you can layer it very easily and peel it off if you need to, but it definitely, I was up there yesterday, it was about 65 when we started, 70, 75, and I was completely layered up and I was still comfortable. So it works really well. So that will come in a long and a short sleeve. The long sleeve has the thumb holes that everyone wants. The
Mm-hmm.
big, I need thumb
It
holes.
keeps your underlayer on when you're
Yeah,
yes. Uh-huh.
we have the thumb holes. And then the Becca half zip. So she's loaded with features. She'll also drop this fall as well. So we have hand warmer pockets throughout, including along the kidney area to help keep you warm. So if you want to bust open your hand warmers and slide them in, you can. Kangaroo zip pockets, um, little hidden zippers and pockets everywhere where you could stash your license or a chapstick or something to have easy access to just move slowly around your body. And that is actually made in the same fabric that the Sophia Adventure Pant is made in, so the same stretch. It will come in a curvy, but we were asked, can you make us a half zip in this fabric of the pant? So that's how she was. That's how she was born. So we
Good.
started with that, yeah. And
Can
then
you
some.
speak a little bit? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, then we have a product roadmap line of for things that are going to drop next year as well. So this year you'll be able to get top and bottoms, and then we have the V2 Sophia Venture Pant launching this fall too, and she is locked and loaded with even more features than V1. So everyone will be happy. Same fit, same fabric, just more features.
Fantastic. Sorry to cut you off. I wanted
Very
to
good.
dive a little bit more into the curvy versus like not curvy sizing chart
Mhm.
that you have. That was one of my topics I wanted to touch on, but you spoke a little bit on it as far as each product. It depends on the fabric and the
Yep.
design. But for the Sophia pants, for example, you have a curvy versus regular.
Mhm.
So for me, I'm short and I had the curvy version of the smaller size, I think is what it was. But it's interesting how you just basically have like the website shows you how to analyze your size, but just speak a little bit
Mhm.
more on that.
Yeah. So if you are, we're going to say mid size because I'm a mid size, so I could speak really easily to that. So I run between anywhere from a 10 to a 14, just depending on the time of year, what's going on in life, and how diligent I'm being. Um, I wear a medium curvy, and right now I'm about a 12, so I'm right smack in the middle of that sizing chart. The waist will always kind of be the same. It's got that four-way stretch too, and it is adjustable. But if you're in a curvy, you get an extra couple inches through like the hip and bum area. So you get a little extra room. So if you are an in-between size, you can actually size down a size and go into a curvy,
Mhm.
and they fit really, really well. And we're the only pant on the market. We're the only, I think, the only company in the outdoor industry that offers a curvy option. And it's while we were talking to women and looking at, we wrote everyone's size down. So we have hundreds of sizes of women that we've done customer discovery on, and measurements and like you name it. And we're like, our sizing chart has to be different because everything that's out there, when you go to a factory and they're like, what sizing chart do you want? And they hand you one, you're like, no, it's not how
Mhm.
we're going to do this. We're definitely going to do things differently. So we made our own. And we needed a curvy option to make sure that we fit as many body types as we possibly could fit. It's the same thing with the hem adjusters where everyone's taller, shorter, like you're shorter. I think you and I are about the same height.
Yeah.
But even Audrey, she's tall. And it's like, how can we get that to fit everybody? So the hems adjust too. Um, the hems may adjust. I'm going to say may because we're still working on the system, but you may get a little bit more of an adjustment in V2 this year when that drops, which is great. So we'll be able to accommodate shorter women because we had this 4'11 ish gal that we were having. She still had to cut some off, which we are like, nope, we don't want that.
We need to make the change. Yep.
So we adjusted.
Okay, so you've talked a little bit about your fall line. Is there anything on the horizon as far as I know you have? I'm part of your brand shoot email list,
Yes.
but is there anything that you would love to see from your industry, from your followers? Are there any major goals that you're trying to meet in the future?
Oh gosh. Industry has been very warm and welcoming, so I'm very appreciative of that. So that's been fantastic. Ladies, if there's something you want, just message, like drop us an email, send us a message, DM us. No kidding, we check those. Those all go to our social person, and all of that information gets fed back to product if it's anything product related. Um, I'm excited for the jacket that we're working on right now. I'm gonna say jacket. That's all I'm gonna say is jacket because that could be 1,000 jackets. So I'm just gonna say jacket that we started developing. That's going to be amazing. I'm very excited for V2 because so much extra love went into her. And like I said, we're a pant company through and through. We'll give you the tops of jackets and all the other things that you need, but ensuring that our bottoms work great. Um, I'm excited for the new color waves too. So it's not just going to be green and strata. We're adding to the solids. So we're going to have black, navy blue, and a coyote. So that's going to be new
I
and
like that. I
yeah.
love solids.
So more solids.
I like wearing the solids, like, when I go to like, when I go to a clay shoot or when I go to another event where I would still wanna wear my outdoor gear, but not necessarily camo, right? So, like,
Yeah,
Total Archery Challenge is one of those ones where I love wearing my active pants and shirts, but all I have right now are camo. So I have to wear more like I have a yoga brand pair of pants or wear my leggings or whatever, but I would love to have more solid pants and solid shirts for that.
yeah, that was something that that was the feedback we got was like they could use this pant in other activities that they do, or out, other areas of their life if we had, more color waves. So we added those color waves. So you'll have the juniper green, which has been since we started, coyote, black, and navy blue. So I'm excited about
Very
those.
exciting. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And was there one other thing? I'm sorry, I didn't mean this is the
Um,
delay in this gets to a point where it's like almost ridiculous sometimes.
no, we're good. I don't even remember. I know I was saying I was excited about the jacket and the new color waves of the pants. Um, just excited for what we're doing in general. And we've added to our trade show, our trade show calendar. So if you want to try them on in person, touch, feel, the whole entire thing, check our website because our tour is and it's getting added to. Like you wouldn't believe, we're going to be at a couple of rodeos too, because we got a lot of ladies that I got pictures barrel racing and you name it in our pants, and I was like, this is insane, and a lot of invites of come to this rodeo, so we're gonna go to some rodeos, which is gonna be great. That's gonna be like going back home for me. So yeah, so just keep checking the calendar. We update it very frequently. Every time we add a show, it's on there, and that's where we'll be.
I need to come find you at one of the rodeos because I've been wanting to go out to a California rodeo or wherever you're going to be. I'll go look at your schedule because I mean
We're
we have a
doing
ton here in Texas.
we're doing the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Rodeo, which is one of the biggest rodeos in Southern California, and that was really interesting to try to get into. But they were very supportive, and they were already sold out of booths, but they opened up like more space, and so I had to have a lot of conversations with them before they were like, okay, yeah, like we'll go ahead and give you a space. But they were very generous. So we'll have a small 10 by 10. It won't be our full booth setup like we normally do now, but a small 10 by 10 there. And I think that's over a 3-day weekend in August. I also think that overlaps Hunter's Extravaganza because there's going to be one leg that I can't do because I'm going to be doing this one. So I think it butts up against San Antonio. And we're doing Dallas as we did last year, but we're not doing Houston this year. We're doing San Antonio instead. So
Okay.
yeah.
No, good. That's good. I think that's awesome. And I'm sitting here trying to picture the conversations with the guys at the rodeo. Like, yeah, we're a hunting company, but we're not. We know we're making these products that are great for women and just in general. And I always tell Brandon this, and those listeners who are aware of who we are and what we do. We started in rodeo and then we hunted for fun. And with COVID, everything kind of stopped in rodeo for a while. And so I'm very passionate about that. And Raylene, you know this, so this is
Yeah.
something that's not new to you, but you guys, if you're interested in where these pants can be used, apparently barrel racing is one of those things. So if you're one of our rodeo listeners, then be
Yeah.
sure to reach out to her and figure out what excuse me, what color she's coming out with that might match your. Because I know barrel racers are very
I
specific
yeah,
for
so
the
I have
most
pictures
part
of
about
them,
what they wear.
more so of them like practicing in them, which I was like, wow. And they're like, these are amazing. I could ride really well in them. Can you have other color waves? So that conversation started. I would get pictures of them working on the ranch, like working on their ranch, milking cows. I've got pictures of girls in
Yep.
camo milking cows. And I'm like, this is awesome. Number one, I'm like, that's amazing. I didn't get to milk cows in camo, and we had our little micro ranch, but I'll take it.
Yeah,
But then feedback from
I
them on
love that.
like I'd love to have this as a work pant or something. So we made those accommodations for V2, so they can be used for more than just hunting. You can use them in everyday life if you
Oh
need to.
yeah. There's just endless possibilities just with the mindset and the research that you're doing. And I think that starting where you started instead of mass producing is super interesting. And obviously, not everybody has the wherewithal to do that and to be committed to the mission that you have. And I just think everybody needs to hear about it. So I really appreciate you coming on. Where can they find you? I know we've mentioned your website and things like that, but I love your Instagram. So you're on
Oh, thank
Instagram.
you. Yeah, we are on Instagram. So it's at Ditale Outdoors. That's Ditale Outdoors. On Instagram and Facebook. We also have a Facebook group. If you go to Facebook, our Facebook page on top, it says Women Who Hunt. You'll see our D logo up there. You can join that. There's thousands of women in there. I think we're up to 3,500 women now. We might be more close to 4,000 now. It's been a little bit since I've been in there. But that conversation of hunting. Even if you're a new hunter, there's women in there that want to connect with you and help you out. No question is a dumb question. Everyone helps each other in there. It's a great community. And then you can go to detaleoutdoors.com. That's where you could check out our story, our team, where we're going to be next at all of our trade shows, our gear. And if you want to connect with me personally, I'm at Artemis Takes Aim on Instagram.
Yeah, and she's real fun to follow. I was love speaking of your photo shoot yesterday, I was watching your photo shoot as it was happening, basically. I
Oh,
love
so
your
you
new car, by the way.
oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Snow, is that her name?
Her name is Snow White. So everyone's like, what is she talking about? I just bought a Jeep Wrangler. I've been wanting one forever and a day. Um, and I don't have her wrapped yet. She'll probably be wrapped in some Ditale stuff at some point in time, but she's just white.
Yes.
The joke behind the Snow White is it's not because she's white and everyone's like, oh, that's easy. I have friends that call me Snow White because I always bring home some sort of woodland creature that I find injured, and I'm like, it needs help. And so, like cats, dogs, birds in the forest, like squirrels, you name it, have come home, and it's like, oh, Snow White's at it again, like bringing home creatures and nurse them back to health and release them in the wild. So
What are you gonna do?
I'm like, come on
That's
now.
awesome.
Yeah, so then when everyone's like, "What
That's
do you
so
name
cool.
it?" When I got the Jeep, and I was like, "I don't know," and everyone's all, "You should just name her Snow White." So
That's
kind
hilarious. Well, she's beautiful, and I
of
also am a Jeep lover. I'm sitting here contemplating, do I want a Bronco? Do I want a Jeep? But the new Toyota Sequoias just came out, and I'm obsessed with those. So I love the sporty look, and that's why I was just like,
yeah,
"Oh, she got a new car." So very cool. I can't wait to see that wrapped. That's gonna look so cool.
it is. I'm excited. I have someone giving me a quote as we speak right now on.
Oh, good. I was about to say if you need someone, I know some people here, but I don't know anybody out, and you'd have to bring her to Texas.
Yeah,
So I would love to have you on again one day to talk about, where you've come from today. That would be great. We could do another podcast episode.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, we can talk about ranch life because no, not a lot of people know that.
Yes.
Yeah, they're like, "You what?" I'm like, "I grew up in a ranch community in a very small ranch town."
Yes.
Which is not a ranch town anymore. So that's what's sad is after my dad passed away, I moved home. He passed away last February. I moved back home this January. So I haven't been back like that long. But to drive through town and not see like the horse feed stores that I would see and all the
Oh,
ag
yeah.
stores that I would see, and then just knowing from friends saying like, well, so and so sold their ranch, so like now they're building houses on it. It's sad. It's very sad. And I had the best childhood. I got to kind of be a free range kid because you knew everyone. You didn't want to do anything stupid because your parents would find out before you got home.
Right.
They're like, I'll end up dead. I'll end up dead before I go down the driveway. That's a quarter of a mile driveway. I don't think I want to like have to mess with that. Yeah, but we had a little
Oh, yeah.
micro.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun. It was a really good upbringing, and um, just I think anything ag and outdoor related, you just get solid kids out of it. You really, really do. Just solid
I
people.
completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that it's something that people can relate to a lot because even the ranch that I grew up on, we're splitting it up now and we've sold, two tracks of it.
Oh,
And so it's not what it used to be. And I mean, it's just one of those things where I see you and I appreciate the same way that you feel connected to that, and it's something that you want to instill in the next generation. And I think that along with hunting and rodeo, just agriculture and the lifestyle, they're all very ingrained in each other.
yeah,
And that's why you see a lot of the same people interested in the same things. Like you'll see a lot of professional rodeo athletes that love to hunt as well, and that are spending a lot of their time hunting whenever they're not rodeoing, which isn't much time.
yeah,
But it's just one of those things that agriculture, rodeo, hunting and gathering, and a lot of these, intimate activity. I don't know how else to put this, but just humanizing intimate activities, producing
yeah.
and providing for yourself is a lot of what ties us all
Yeah.
together. So yeah, I'd love to do an episode dedicated on that. All
Let's do.
right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. You guys go follow them, be part of the Facebook group. I am myself, and I think that I see a lot of updates through there and just questions
Yeah,
and polls. And they, like she said, they gather information consistently. So you'll get updates on their fall drop. And then she's like, she said Instagram as well. And then on y'all's website.